And we are live on cameras. Of course, cameras always brought to you by Panadas.
And Renegade Truck Accessories. Thank you, guys.
So, we love the Austin Film Festival. We've said before, we think it's a really fantastic festival, especially because it picks up a lot of movies that you might not otherwise cross your radar, get to see it, all those things. So two family members, Bobby and Aaron, and they're not the Weiss brothers. They are the Weiss cousins, which I actually kind of like, filmmaking cousins, have a pretty extraordinary documentary. And you hear, I think probably we're the only rock station in the country that talks about documentaries as much as we do because we love them. All three of us love real stories.
Slice of life.
Slice of life. And it's hard to get a good documentary because sometimes you can be a great documentary filmmaker.
Nothing happens.
Is anything compelling going to happen?
Right.
So
you
have
be
to
filming for years and then something doesn't, there's no twist, there's no swerve.
We learned years ago from like Hands on a Hard Body, one of the things you can do is you can find a competition or something and it builds a natural... But the other thing to do is, can you find a compelling character? And usually that can be tough because truly, which humans really are interesting? Dale Carter is...
I'm interested already.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting. From the moment you talk to him, the moment you see him. We saw the trailer. I saw the trailer about 2 weeks ago for this film.
I just watched it.
And I instantly was like, holy... Oh, I almost cursed. Holy... I was like, wow. It instantly was so engaging. The elevator pitch, Bobby or Aaron, what? First of all, hi, everybody. I'm so excited that I'm forgetting how to introduce you guys properly.
Thanks for having us.
And so, elevator pitch, what are we going to watch when we go see Song of the Cicada? What is it about?
I think you're gonna see a portrait of a person, of a man who's searching for their legacy, and in lots of different ways. One of the ways is taking on a student who's going to carry on the embalming profession, and wants to impart in this person the exactitude and the kind of precision and the love and caring that goes into this profession. And then also, our character is striving to save a Victorian home that was given to him as a gift. So it's about preservation, I think, and carrying on some sort of legacy.
Had you guys made films before? How did the two of you hook up and start making documentaries?
We've been making films since before we were in high school, just kind of having fun.
Did you grow up near each other?
Yeah, Bobby grew up in Galveston and Dallas, and I grew up here in Austin.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we would just have fun with it, and we made a documentary back in 2009 about Hurricane Ike and what it did to the community in Galveston. Bobby was teaching high school at Ball High, and so that was a kind of our first feature film. And but ever since then, we've been working pretty much on this project, which has taken over 10 years to complete. And
is that when you were shooting that? Is that how you met Dale?
Bobby was teaching at Ball High School and went to a Halloween party. I'll let him tell the rest.
Okay.
Yeah. So I met Dale, and it was actually 12 years to the day today, actually, that we met. So it's kind of an interesting anniversary.
Wow.
I was dressed as Alec Baldwin from Beetlejuice. I was the photographer at the party.
Right.
And a mutual friend said, you got to meet this guy. He didn't even tell me what he did. He said, just go ask him what he does. So at the time, I was teaching anatomy and figure drawing, and I was curious to know what he did. He said, I'm an undertaker, and you should join me in my laboratory. He was actually wearing this monocle and a wool cape.
Okay, and that's what I want to get into because now we're going to introduce Dale to everybody. And I am so happy that you're here, Bobby and Aaron, but you know that Dale's going to suck up a lot of the oxygen in this interview because you're immediately, just when I went to go meet you just now, I'm going to use terms that will sometimes maybe seem like backhanded compliments, but I think that you'll understand you are unique in humanity. Even the way that your appearance,
Dapper.
the way you address people, your tone, your look, and the career that you've chosen, which is, let's call it the mortuary sciences, right? Is that a proper term for that, Dale?
Yes, it is. It is an ancient profession that goes way back because if you look at human civilization, the way we care about our dead, it tells a lot about who we are as a people and a culture.
You are dressed nattily today, to use the old proper term, right? You were what they would have called in the 1600s a dude. You have
dandified.
Absolutely
A dandy,
dandified.
Charles Baudelaire and Eduardo Manet. They
look at him
practice
go.
dandy.
And you have a rakish trilby, I noticed.
Yes, my little Panama hat.
Yes.
So how did we learn a little bit of this in the film?
Yes.
But you were fascinated even as a young person in the idea of death.
I was. And it goes way back. I found a jar of alcohol when I was a kid, and we would catch fish. My father was a fisherman, and I wanted to try something, and I saw I could preserve it in alcohol, and it would never age. It would never grow old. It would always be beautiful. It would never change. And it was like if you could freeze time, like a memory, like a photograph, and that would always be there. And I said, what is this magic of embalming that makes people seem to never look bad and stay forever, you know?
Did you start a collection at that point?
Yes, I had jars of fish, a crawfish. If it was alive and I could catch it and put it in a jar, I did it.
Wow.
You know
His
what I
sister
mean?
told us that he would charge admission to his room.
I did because I figured that's a good way to make money.
It's a
as
side
boy.
hustle.
Yeah, it was. And I love pretty things. And I will say this. I love the story Beauty and the Beast. Remember, you could have had anything, but don't take his roses, you know, have permission. And so I ask your permission, you know. I don't assume anything. I desire to be polite to you and treat you like a human being that you deserve, because each one of us is made unique. There's not two.
Why don't we talk about death more in a common way?
I will tell you why. Because it brings up our own mortality. When you speak of death, you have to confront death, and that this party known as life will end in the conscious state that we understand it. But there is something, to me, beyond this world.
And you're sure of that? You've
I
been
am.
closer to it than any of us in this room.
I guarantee it.
So you guarantee that. And what?
In my thing, in
If
my
you could
mind.
give me one little proof or one little idea that would illustrate that.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, I'm definitely ready.
Okay, ready. Okay, I come from a very basic background. They were farmers, and farming people are some of the backbone of all cultures. But how does a farm boy end up loving Shakespeare, Wagnerian opera, Verdi, Puccini, and Mozart and Beethoven in the middle of nowhere? You see? So I must have lived another lifetime. And I will say this, I love finery, as you can tell. I love great culture. I love these old mansions. And one of my friends said, because you lived in one once. And I said, yes. Years ago, I met a gypsy, a real gypsy, not one of these fake ones. And she took my fortune. She said, you are alive in another lifetime, and you are a woman. And I said, was I a rich woman? Because I better be. Because, I mean, I have too much of a taste of a Romanoff, let me tell you, but with a budget of bilge water, you know. So, you know, I had the desire and the feeling that I came from another time, you know. And I felt comfortable. When I was a boy, I saw Fred Astaire dance with Ginger Rogers. I saw what a beautiful group of human beings, you know. I said, how elegant, how exquisite, you know what I mean? And they just moved like poetry, you know.
Growing up coastal, Galveston, those of us who have grown up in Texas, there is sometimes a feeling of othering, especially if you're in a community where, hey, let's go out on the weekend, crush a couple of beers, farming, sports.
Yes.
If you're into opera and dance, there had to be times when you felt othered, maybe. Did you feel a part of your community? Did you feel...
Well, I can tell this very easily because you're speaking to the disenfranchised my whole life. You know what I mean? I always felt like I was apart from humanity, yet the very connected at the same time. Does that make sense?
Sure, absolutely it does.
I felt separate.
You're talking
but
to an
connected.
audience.
Yes.
And I think we've fomented this audience because our audience are people who are others, who are broken, who are a little different and a little off, and that's what we do every morning is bring them all together.
Oh,
right?
I know. Everybody that's different can identify with the underdog and somebody that is stands apart from society. When I was a teenager, I was at North Park Mall in Dallas, Texas, and the mall was full of people dressed all the same. I saw a man in a Scottish Inverness coat cape, like Sherlock Holmes wears.
Right.
I was so impressed, I forgot everybody else in that mall. I couldn't tell you what they looked like, but I remember him.
Right.
That's called peacocking, right?
Yeah. Did you actually kind of engage and like the idea of your differentness growing up, or did you find it to be a hurdle or a hindrance?
Oh, it was a problem. It was. But then, okay.
Well, because it probably as a youth, you were teased.
I was picked on.
Yeah.
Yes, I was bullied. I don't like bullies at all, at any age, anywhere, anytime, because there's no reason for it to put their problems on someone else, their insecurities, you see. If we could all treat each other better, can you imagine if someone said, I love you every day, and mean it?
It's the meaning part, because I say it to Bob, but I don't mean it. You know what I mean?
Well, I call everyone honey, sugar, baby, sweetheart. And the man said to me, my own wife doesn't say that. And I said, she should, because you're wonderful.
Okay, so coming off of that, what you just said, I
Yes.
thought, and maybe my ears deceived me, on the trailer that I watched about 5 minutes ago,
Yes.
did you say that you were a psychopath?
I said I probably have psychopathic tendencies and not the evil way.
Can you explain
But
that?
I will explain
Okay.
that. I can compartmentalize traumatic things and block all feelings to work on a body or someone
always wondered
I know.
about that. I've
So
always wondered.
how do I do? It's like magic, you see. And I said, in a psychopathic mind, is my understanding, they do not feel emotion or feelings for other people.
Right.
I can tap into that temporarily and not fall apart while I'm embalming a friend.
Especially, I'm assuming, a friend.
A friend or someone I know, which in the community I worked in, we all knew each other.
Right. So you have actually been the undertaker for
Small
your
towns.
your social circle.
Yeah, people I knew. And one old lady came to me and she said, Dale, you made Miss Jones look so good. Can you do that for me? I said, honey, I'd have to kill you first. And she started laughing and said, oh, I didn't mean it ugly, But my beauty treatment lasts forever, like that.
Are you, this is going to get you a little bit more notoriety as well, having had cameras follow you around for a decade, things like that. But even before that, had you kind of, as you had gotten older, built a community of friends? Like, are you known there in Galveston as the?
I'm known.
I mean, there's a great thing about you. You look like if Hollywood Central Casting said, "We need an undertaker."
Oh yes.
And the fact that when I see your Victorian home, I'm like, well, of course, Dale's. You didn't have another option. I'm going to be honest with you. Your look, the way you approach the world, your home, which is filled with all of its curios or whatever, you kind of only could be the Undertaker.
Well, you're right.
It's interesting. I asked Dale once, I said, if you weren't embalming, would you still have the same level of mojo that you have now? And you said, I've got enough mojo to last 1,000,000 years.
I sure do, baby. And you get there by suffering because there is a line from a long time ago. People, I do not fear your God. I fear your scars. Because when my people see your scars, they will believe.
Is that the sad part of your story here? Was there a lot of loss and trauma and sadness in your life?
The last few years has been a year of years of loss. You can't do it all. You have to learn to let go of things. And I know it better than anyone. Some of the people in the film are dead now. Tony Garcia, that lovely little man that helped me pick my wig and fashion it, He's a wonderful, I embalmed his brother, And I went out to his house and he was there. And Tony was everyone's friend in that town. Everyone loved Tony. So it was great to see him in the film. And then Matt Davis, we had footage of but did not make it into the film. He was a friend of mine, too, that was very self-destructive, with addiction.
Sure, we know a lot of those folks.
Oh, yeah. Well, the community that loves me the most has the most problems with those things. And I don't drink, but I did do one thing this week.
A little heroin? Good for you.
No, worse. Absinthe.
The real stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I did it in front of my student. And he says, "You're a teetotaler." I said, "Not tonight. I'm going to unleash Oscar Wilde, Baudelaire, and Shakespeare."
Can I ask the filmmakers, Bobby and Aaron, what fears did you have to overcome? Was this something that you were ready for? Did you have an interest in it? And how did it change your perceptions about death or life or both?
Well, when I first met Dale, I saw an embalming that very night on Halloween. I mean, he invited me to the embalming studio.
And you went?
Oh, do you turn down an offer like that on a
No,
Halloween
you don't.
night?
But it is. I feel like there's a hard swallow right beforehand where you go, wow, I really am on Halloween with somebody I just met going to go look at a dead body.
It was intense. I mean,
tell them about the friend you brought with you.
Well, we brought a mutual friend with us, and before we even went in, Dale said to me, "You want to say it?"
What you're about to see will change your life for the rest of your life. And I said, I want you to be one of my greatest students because that's why I'm bringing you in here. You see, I don't just invite anyone into this world. They have to be a protege legally, you know. And so I had Bobby pretty well convinced to do that till he saw it.
Well, the person we were with is another student of Dale's, and he actually passed out.
He fainted,
He
yes.
fainted when he pulled the sheet off. He'd maybe had a little bit to drink that night, too.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, yeah. But it was traumatic, I have to say. And over the next week, I had to really process it. I was a printmaking assistant to a psychiatrist, actually, who's very well known. And I called him and I said, I met this really interesting man, but I'm really disturbed by what I saw. And he said, make some artwork about it. I'm also a painter, too. So I actually went back and did some drawings of Dale and of his work, profession, and that sort of thing. Helped me process it. And then talking to my cousin Aaron about what I had seen, and we agreed to do a little documentary. And we knew we had the subject matter. And it was.
Did you start by maybe doing some test shoots in a short to see what you had there,
Yeah,
and then decided to expand into a full feature length?
Exactly, but that first 2-day shoot turned into a 12-minute film that we started showing people and knew we had something really special. And
Well,
And
Dale is unique. So
and you got an unique subject, and it looks beautiful too. By the way, the photography. You know, a lot of times documentaries just like we'll set up a camera somewhere, a deer camera, and let it run, and you just get this, whatever footage you get. But this looks like a piece of art.
It
That's-
really
Thank
is insanely beautifully shot, and I think it's one of the things that could have destroyed this. Is that it could have been handled poorly, and you have an incredible subject like Dale, and it just doesn't quite pop the way it's supposed to. You could have also had a beautiful shot thing, and if the subject's not there, it's not there, and you're trying to push out a film that just doesn't quite work. I do want to let people know the world premiere happened last night. I hope it went well for you guys. You had a red carpet and all that, but people can still catch the film, the Galaxy Theater 6, 4 p.m. tomorrow. You don't have to have a full badge. You can go and get a ticket for this, and I recommend it. I also want to say, if you miss it, my gut feeling is, have you already been approached by a distributor for this yet?
not quite yet, but we're showing at a few more film festivals. It's
I
going to
really feel like this is going to end up for somebody on a Netflix or a Prime. I mean, it's good, and there's no reason it shouldn't be.
We want people to see it, absolutely.
I am fascinated by the idea of death, and not in a bad way. I have had a real embrace of it later in my life. My office is just filled with skulls,
Yes.
images of skulls. I like the reminder. On my phone, there's an app that you can use for big deadlines. Oh, Christmas is coming, or this is due. Mine, I just arbitrarily set for 30 more years. The idea being, every day it reminds me that our time is winnowing down, and it's very easy to get into a system or a path, and you're kind of walking through your life or sleepwalking through your life. It just happens every day, and all you do is working for the weekend, and then the weekend's here, and then now it's another week. But we run out of time. We only have so much time to make a mark in the world, whatever that mark wants to be. It doesn't have to be that you become a huge celebrity. That I impart some wisdom on a kid, or that I'm kind to somebody. Like I love those kind of reminders, and I think it can be for some people morbid. But is death morbid, Dale? You've seen the most of it. You've embalmed, I think, 30,000
over that now.
Over 30,000 individuals.
Yeah, I have in either cremation, picking up, handling, funerals, you name it, And the craziest, I'm going to write 3 books later explaining in detail this almost 40-year period of me experiencing the human race.
What are the titles of the books?
And I will tell you, you want to hear the titles of my book? I come
Yes,
up with
we do.
Because, I want the first one to be called Death Call, The Memoirs of an Embalmer.
Okay.
Because that's the first contact. It's called the Death Call. Then the second book will be called Embalming Nightmares and Mortuary Dreams. The worst cases and the best scenarios, That's the middle of my career. The last book will be called, when you do an autopsy, you're putting the human being back together with sewing, And I was lucky enough to know how to do crochet as a boy, needlepoint, and macrame. So my stitches look real nice.
Have you macrameed a human back together?
Literally, almost.
That is
with the string.
That is the most 70s thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
I will say, when we talked to Dale's boss, he said, there's 1 in 10,000 embalmers that are like Dale. And he went on to specify, like, Dale will take a situation that is so bad and put somebody, literally rebuilding somebody's face, so that the family can see that person.
Like
and get
a sculpture.
lasting, and you were a sculptor before.
Oh, yes, I was an artist. I could paint and draw. And this is one thing I admire about Bobby. Have you seen his paintings?
I haven't yet.
No.
Oh, it's going to blow your mind, baby.
Okay.
They're beautiful, I saw it and I said, this man has genius built into his. I'm not just saying this because you're in front of me.
I
By
gave him
the
a
way,
$10 bill before.
Yeah, pay off, right? No, because I collect art. And I know when I see something good, in human beings, in things, in ideas. I know when I see something wonderful. I spot it early, you know what I mean? Before it becomes known. So I'm like a scout of the beautiful, you know what I mean? And the genuine. And by the way, something good is not always pretty, but it is what it is, And I say the last book is called The Last Stitch, because that's what you do when you sew up an autopsy and you finish that skull. And you put that last stitch and you feel, oh my God, it's over. You know what I mean? Now I can relax. Now their loved one will look like nothing happened to them, and that was the illusion.
And you feel like that helps with the closure for that family.
It does,
and
and
you're
it will
giving
be
them
the
that
closure
gift.
of my career. Do you remember Shakespeare's play, The Tempest?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Prospero is a magician.
Right.
And he practiced his art and was exiled to an island, right? In this Tempest, his last speech talks about sitting down, putting his staff down, and going and retiring. And I want that at my funeral, the speech of Prospero at the end of my service.
Are you excited? Do you look forward to your own funeral?
I do. I think that I have been dead and alive so many different times throughout my life. There's a great line from Julius Caesar. Cowards die 1,000 times before their actual death. The valiant taste of death but once. And that is heroic.
Dale, tell them about what your funeral is going to actually.
Oh, baby, it's going to be a happening. I want to have paid mourners from Italy. The women that wear the black veils and everything you see in the movies. I want to bring them in straight from Sicily if I have the money. You know what I mean? And I want them to cry day and night. I want them to carry on like banshees, in Ireland,
Bobby here is Sicilian. Can he get an invite?
Give me a
Can he come?
connection.
Can he
I'll
come
see-
in
I'll
with
see
you
what
as
we can
well?
do. We'll see what we can get for you.
Hey, we want to thank you very much. All three of you are a delight. You've put together an incredible project. Congratulations to you. I'm so glad we got to have you in the studio today, Dale. And I love the fact that you don't mince. Everything that you say is a quotable, and we can put it on a T-shirt. And thanks for bringing a little bit of intelligence to our dumb show where we usually just talk about wieners and boobs. We appreciate it very much.
Thanks for being a class act. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm going to push this brakes, okay? Let's just get straight in here. Bye, guys. Oh, by the way, thank you to Panadas and to
Renegade Truck Accessories.
Thank
you
you,
guys for sponsoring this.
If you missed this and you want to get a good look at Dale, which I recommend, he's fantastic just to watch, you can always check this video. Will be living on our Facebook forever until we're all gone.
This segment brought to you by Lennox.
License number 16934C.
It's the 66th anniversary of the Woods family offering Texans dependable Lennox heating and cooling system.
Empanadas, available in the frozen food aisle of your favorite grocery store. And Renegade Truck Accessories, your source for truck caps, bed covers, lift kits, window tinting, and custom services. Mornings with Matt and Bob in studio is brought to you by Empanadas. Available in the frozen food aisle of your favorite grocery store. And Renegade Truck Accessories, your source for truck caps, bed covers, lift kits, window tinting, and custom services.